The city releases new artist renderings and a new price tag for the revitalized Victoriaville area. Good evening and thank you for joining us. The demolition of Victoriaville is slated to begin in April.
It's the second phase of the $17.9 million project to reimagine the area. Emma Chilton has the story.
The city officially launched the next stage in the massive project set to revitalize the South Core. It includes the demolition of Victoriaville Mall and renovations to the Victoriaville Civic Centre, court services, and private buildings within the current structure. Recent estimates had the project costing $17.5 million, though that's jumped to $17.9 million. Manager of the engineering division, Aaron Ward, says that the current businesses located at Victoriaville Mall will remain open during the renovations.
The Reimagine Victoriaville project, so it includes reopening Victoria Avenue again to vehicular traffic. The mall in its entirety will be removed, but prior to the demolition of the mall, a lot of the storefronts will actually be renovated as well to make them appropriate to be exposed to the elements again.
Consultations with businesses, property owners, and tenants were held to refine construction plans, which will include new public plazas. Upgrades to underwater mains and storm sewer systems will also be a part of the project. Ward mentions that these renovations will allow for more community events.
So in addition to the road being open, there's to be 2 new public gathering areas as well that can be used for events, for hosting food trucks. Victoria Avenue is also being designed to be closed as well to allow open markets as well. That way food trucks can park in the street, events can happen as well, the area can be programmed, and we can start to revitalize this downtown core.
This project can begin as early as late April and be complete by next spring. Emma Chilton, TBT News.
The city is still trying to find a new urban forester. This after Daniel Corbett suddenly resigned last summer, claiming senior staff ignored his suggestions for maintaining trees around Thunder Bay. City officials say besides hiring the next person for that position, they also need to update the urban forestry plan. The most recent plan included more than 20 key recommendations on how to manage the city's tree population. These included diversifying the tree canopy, establishing routine maintenance, creating a better budget plan, and public education initiatives. City Parks Manager Corey Halverson says although the plan is dated, much of it is still relevant.
We've been actively managing and responding to urban forest needs throughout that period. And again, all that information is going to help inform a truly updated urban forest management plan moving forward. That's still our objective, but we do continue to follow the objectives that are outlined in that document, as there's still much of it is still relevant. It's more of an update. It's not a complete new approach that we're going to be bringing forward. So
Halverson adds the city will be more thoughtful in their approach when it comes to trees, such as removing infected ones and replacing them, and being more proactive with maintenance. He expects a new urban forester will be hired in the next few weeks. Ontario Provincial Police say they're not considering any charges in connection to a fatal crash west of Ignace last week. 2 transports collided around 3:30 Thursday morning. The crash left 3 people dead, both drivers and a passenger. Police haven't released the identities of the victims, but said all 3 are from Brampton.
A $17 million provincial investment will help make St. Joseph's Care Group a safer place for patients and staff.
The money will support upgrades to a system that controls air quality, helping modernize the facility. Brendan Miller has more.
St. Joseph's Care Group is getting an upgrade to their heating and ventilation systems in the older part of the hospital. This coming on the back of a $17 million provincial investment that'll help transform 4,000 square feet and 4 air handling units into a mechanical penthouse. CFO of St. Joseph's Care Group, Byron Ball, spoke about how the new systems will actually work.
The filtration system and the air handlers are what regulates how air comes into this building, is filtered, is cleaned, and really is delivered to people that require it, obviously, in all areas of the building. So throughout the building, giving people ability to regulate temperatures in certain areas where it needs to be warmer, where it needs to be cooler, certain levels of purification where they need higher levels of standards for air cleanliness, ensuring that happens in a consistent way.
The new system will also be more energy efficient, and Ball said they've been working with the Ministry of Health to make this happen for some time and is pleased it's come to fruition.
So we've known for the past 4 to 5 years that this infrastructure upgrade was critical to modernize our hospital site here at St. Joseph's Care Group, and it's been something we've been working with the Ministry of Health on for that period to try and figure out how to make this project a reality.
Ball also mentioned that the system that is being replaced has needed constant upgrades over the past 25 years. These new systems, however, have a lifespan between 30 and 40 years, giving the hospital a clean bill of health for decades. Brendan Miller, TBT News.
The Ford government says it has a $1.4 billion plan to connect every Ontario resident with a family doctor or primary care plan within 4 years.
Also today, a report from Ontario's budget watchdog says Ontario's decision to bring booze to corner stores early will cost almost 3 times what the government said it would. CTV's Siobhan Morris has the details.
The Premier said it was about giving Ontarians more choice, spending taxpayer dollars to get booze into corner stores ahead of schedule, checking off an election promise. Ontario's financial accountability officer now says that move will cost $612 million, almost 3 times more than the government said.
Doug Ford has been lying about the true costs of this ridiculous scheme.
The budget watchdog expects the change up to alcohol sales to cost the province $1.4 billion by 2030, but it could be closer to $2 if our booze buying doesn't pick up.
We think that that trend will continue, that declining trend in per capita alcohol consumption.
For the Liberal leader, the report highlights what she feels are Doug Ford's misplaced priorities.
He needs to focus on the issues at hand to provide the basics.
Among them, help for the estimated 2.5 million Ontarians who don't have a family doctor. The Progressive Conservative government tried to eliminate a point of attack just before the election, promising
$1.8 billion expanding primary care practitioners in the province of Ontario.
Most of that money is new, a contribution to the goal of getting all Ontarians connected to primary care by 2029.
This includes over $235 million over this next fiscal year to establish and expand 80 additional primary care teams across the province, attaching 300,000 more people to care.
The NDP taking aim at worsening congestion and the cost of living with a colossal campaign promise.
We're going to take the tolls off the 407 within the first 100 days of our government.
Something that could be pricey. Think tens of billions of dollars changing hands with the private firm that owns the toll highway.
I'm not going to negotiate with myself on this. I'll sit down with the company, certainly. But look, I think we have leverage here.
New Democrats vow that while those talks are on, to axe tolls for truckers to coax them off Highway 401 and to eliminate tolls for all drivers on the section of the 407 controlled by the province. Last week, a campaign hint from Ford.
We're going to be announcing something on the 407.
Green Party leader Mike Schreiner has been in his home riding of Guelph, gearing up for the campaign that officially begins Wednesday.
That was CTV's Siobhan Morris reporting. And with that provincial election call just days away, Thunder Bay Superior North now has its Liberal candidate. Thunder Bay City Councillor Brian Hamilton is officially making his first run at provincial politics. Hamilton is serving his second term municipally, representing the McKellar ward, but he'll take a leave from his council duties during the election. He's also a local business owner. The Liberal candidate voiced his priorities heading into this election.
I think what we got to be talking about is infrastructure. That's something that I've done. I got a strong record on infrastructure at the city. It's difficult to fund. I mean, aging infrastructure is expensive, and I don't just mean on roads and bridges. I mean even on housing. You know, we talk about building new houses, getting new units out the door, but we are an old district. We have most of our housing stock is 40, 50 years old, and we got to develop a plan to rehabilitate that housing stock.
Hamilton will challenge NDP incumbent Lise Vaugeois. The Progressive Conservatives haven't yet announced their candidate for Thunder Bay Superior North.
Greg Rickford has also confirmed that he's running again for the PCs in Kenora-Rainy River. Rickford's seeking a third consecutive term. He's represented his riding since 2018. The incumbent wasn't available for an interview today, but he says it's been an honor serving Kenora-Rainy River and that he's been proud of his work to provide life-saving healthcare and critical infrastructure investments. No other parties have announced their candidates yet in the riding.
Thunder Bay has been selected as one of 18 communities across the country to take part in an immigration pilot project aimed at boosting the local economy.
Thunder Bay's CEDC helped roughly 1,200 newcomers through a similar pilot that ended last year. Justin Hardy has the story.
The new rural community immigration pilot is intended to connect local employers with Canadian newcomers. Thunder Bay's Community Economic Development Commission already has around 200 applicants, but expects the number will rise as the pilot program continues. CEO Jamie Taylor says the organization and local employers need a little bit of time to better understand how the program is going to work.
This is really an employer-driven program. There's some differences from the previous pilot. So yes, we're going to be reaching out to employers to be able to educate them on what the program is all about, to be able to onboard them to be eligible employers, and then they'll then work to identify candidates that are suitable for filling some of their labor gaps.
Once a candidate is found to align with the needs of a local employer, the CEDC will issue a letter of recommendation for that candidate to get their permanent residency. The pilot's catchment area is limited to the Thunder Bay Census metropolitan area, which consists of the city, the municipalities of Oliver, Papoonge, and Nebing, the townships of Shunia, Conmee, O'Connor, and Gillies, and Fort William First Nation. Thunder Bay Superior North MP Patty Haidu says the program will bring a number of benefits to the city and surrounding communities.
Thunder Bay is a hub and serves the needs of many community members that live in more rural areas that surround Thunder Bay. It also provides an opportunity for newcomers to get familiar with Northern Ontario. In some cases, they may choose to live in some of those outlying areas. In some cases, they may be practicing in those outlying areas.
The Rural Community Immigration Pilot is the second pilot program in January awarded to the Thunder Bay CEDC aimed at attracting skilled newcomers to the region. Justin Hardy, TBT News.
Blueprint Studio is now celebrating its first anniversary.
The music and audio production studio has been supporting the local musicians and also the film industry since opening its doors last January. Emma Chilton has the story.
Blueprints is a post-production and music recording facility that produces anything from musicians, sound effects for film and TV, and post-production. Studio owner John Paul D. Rover says that their first official year has been nothing short of busy.
We kind of opened with a bang 1 year ago, and we had projects that were already ongoing at the time. And then since then, it's been great. The phone rings every day, and there's a new project, a new challenge. We take on a variety of different types of work, so we're constantly changing what we're working on. And so it's not like a factory where you just kind of create the same thing over and over and again every day. It's a new opportunity, a new type of project, a new way of operating that happens to us on a daily basis. So there's a lot of creativity in the work that we get to do, whether it's for a client or just the work that we're kind of doing internally for ourselves.
In the past year, they've introduced multiple new artists to the industry with their Demo Day program. D. Rover says that the space accommodates all kinds of musicians.
Our Demo Day program that we have allows us to drop our pricing so that we can have musicians come in and experience the space. So that allows people that are in the, that don't necessarily have a studio experience. They can now come in and get a sense of what it's like to be in the studio environment. They get a taste of how timing works, in terms of the pressure of the clock. They get a taste of what it is to be in a space that's much larger than a basement or a garage that they may have recorded in before. And also gets them a chance to hear themselves, mixed professionally and edited to a degree that they wouldn't normally have had if they'd done it themselves. So we do this for a lot of, hobbyist musicians as well as younger musicians that wouldn't necessarily have access to something of this caliber.
Emma Chilton, TBT News.
Well, we'll turn our attention to today's weather, and my goodness, Fiona, I'm glad you made it here and that you weren't blown away on your way in.
It was a distinct possibility because those gusts were extreme, to say the least, and it made it hard to decide if it was snowing or if it was just blowing it all around. And in fact, it was just blowing it all around. Today, with the winds from the northwest, we saw starting out light, 24 kilometers an hour first thing in the morning, but in the afternoon, it averaged probably 50 to 60 K, and at one point, 74 kilometers an hour. That's definitely a bit blustery there. The good news was there was sunshine, and we did warm up to a high of 0, although with the wind chill, it felt closer to -6. And that was after a really mild night. We had a low of -4, wind chills of -12. That is well above the normal high for the day, let alone the normal low. So very mild day, just hard to stay on the ground. Now in Fort Frances, they've got lots of clear skies. Temperatures started out very similar to Thunder Bay, warmed up to -1. They're already slipping down again at -5. They've got a wind chill of about -12. As you head further north, we start to slip into the double digits. Red Lake is currently at -13 and a wind chill of -20. However, the trend further north was actually for the temperature to drop all day long. So that's actually the low for the day, as is the case in Sioux Lookout, Pickle Lake, and into Armstrong and Greenstone. They've both got clear skies, although Greenstone did start out with snow for much of the day, then blowing snow, and then it started to clear out. So all in all, things are starting to calm down in some areas. Along the North Shore, they're also a bit cooler than we saw. They're currently at -13 in Nipigon, -11 in Wawa and Marathon. Sault Ste. Marie had snow and blowing snow all day as well, gusting from 30 to 50 kilometers per hour. They currently have a wind chill of -11. Now here in the city of Thunder Bay, we're going to slip back into much more seasonal cooler temperatures. -18 will be the low, wind chills around -24. It will continue to be pretty gusty this evening, and with it there is about a 60% chance of a few flurries. However, after this evening is over, as we head into the midnight hours, the winds will calm down about 20 km at the most, and we might actually see even a little bit of clearing in the overnight hours. However, you might not want to rely on the clearing conditions, because you're going to need to pull out those shovels. We've actually got one of the first reasonable dumping of snow heading our way for Tuesday and into Tuesday night. We could see about anywhere up to 15 centimeters with the system that is coming through, and I'll have more on that later on in the news hour.
Well, I'm trying to be more positive about these kinds of things this year, Fiona, so I will say that the winter sport enthusiasts will be very happy. Thanks a lot. All right, we're marking a somber anniversary today. It's been 80 years since the liberation of Auschwitz. The Prime Minister was in Poland today to mark the occasion. We'll have full details right after the break.
We were abandoned. Nobody to complain to about our lot, and nobody or hardly anybody helped.